So we've established that four is contrasting with what they were saying. And in this little series that we have going on, we're about to begin developing an essay for this video. It's going to be mostly the beginning of the essay. So your introduction, as we had mentioned before. So we're actually going to just scroll up a bit to the introduction line. I know it wasn't that far. Here we go. Introduction, spelled wrong. Okay. So let's do it in a different color. Let's see what color. What color do you like? So you guys can see maybe that color. Okay. Oh, that's a little bit too dark. Let's do another one. All right. Doesn't wanna cooperate. Okay. So maybe that color is good for you to see. But so we know that it doesn't have to be a long introduction. It could be 2 to 3 sentences. It just needs to explain the purpose and write our thesis. So there's very important. There's a multitude of ways that you could actually answer this question or do an introduction for this part. And you know this because many people have different essays and still get 8s and 9s and 7s and 6s, and so that's what we're reaching for, that range of 6 to 9. If we're going into the 5s, if we're going in 4 under, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. We didn't watch this video multiple times, so let's look at it. So we know that it said, okay, that it was contrasting. We know that from the notes we took that this town is kind of broken down, old, and then at the end it really talks about like how the people who have money, they go to a nice school. It's a lot better than this broken down town. So I think a good way to start an introduction is to say Holcomb, Kansas. So first, before we get into that, we don't know the author of this particular piece because this is an example piece. This is a strategy piece. Okay, so we don't know the author, but whenever you do know the author, you want to say the author did something. The author, or you don't want to call them by their name, but if there's a person um, in the footnote or above with a little explanation, you want to be able to, sorry, my bad, you want to be able to write it down in your introduction. But for our purposes, that's not necessary. So we know the setting is Holcomb, Kansas. Okay, we know that's a setting. That's a very important part of the story because that's what the story is about. So we can say Holcomb. Oh, okay. There we won't change colors. It wants to do what it wants to do. All right. So Holcomb, Kansas. So let me put some space so that you guys know that this is um, our actual introduction. So we can put also intro. Okay. So the setting is Holcomb, Kansas. So we want to begin immediately so that the readers, not the author, the readers know that we know at least the setting. And then we can say that Holcomb, Kansas, uh, Holcomb, Kansas, um, even the sound of the place is boring and uninteresting. Moreover, Truman Capote seems to agree with this on his opening to In Cold Blood. Okay, so we know that we're talking about In Cold Blood. So we can say that that is the name of the story. So you also want to have the name of the story included with whoever is writing it. So that's what we're gonna have in our introduction. So Holcomb, Kansas, and then they put a period, and they say even the sound of the place is boring and uninteresting. interesting. Okay, so one thing I must say is that whenever I see a flaw in this book, in this AP way of writing, um, and the flaw is you don't need to use adjectives that are the same to have a nice complex writing. So boring and uninteresting, very similar. So just beware of that. I'm just going to highlight there because this isn't bad. It obviously isn't bad if this is what the AP readers want, but for future reference, as a scholar, as a writer, you don't need to do that. Okay, we already know that boring means uninteresting, and uninteresting means boring, and in this context, they're relatively the same. And having extra words is really unnecessary. So we're going to put that in that color, just so you know that in the future, not for these purposes, but maybe in the future, you can change it up a little bit. This complexity. Okay, more. Okay, so we're gonna have. Oh, my light went out. Okay. Moreover, um, moreover, my bad. Moreover, um, Truman Capote, Capote. I'm not entirely sure how you say the name, but we know that. Sorry, excuse me. That's a voice crack there. That Truman Capote is sees the town as boring. Okay, too. So he agrees, and this is an author. Okay, so seems to agree with this in his opening. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Opening to in Cold Blood. So it's also very important that you have the title of whatever reading in there. That just reinforces that you at least know the title. I'm pretty sure it's just for clarity. I don't think it has a special meaning, but you want to have that in there just in case, So in Cold Blood, I too. Oh, it's still gonna. All right, we'll change it in a second. I too would be inclined to pass by this sleepy, bland, and undistinguished hamlet. Sleepy, bland, and undistinguished hamlet. Excuse my misspelled words. We're typing fast, getting things done. Undistinguished, I too. Okay, so Hamlet. Doo-doo-doo. This view is developed with the author's tone, structure, and selection of details. So, okay, so this view is developed by the author's tone, structure. Let's have some commas in there. Structure. Okay, once again, ignore my misspelled words. Um, and tone. Author's tone, structure, and selection of detail. And that's what I was telling you earlier. If you were watching the other videos, that is what you can see through the author's writing. How does the author structure this piece? How does the author's tone show you how he describes the town, or the town is described? The detail is also very important. So you can use this. So we know based off of what a thesis is that this is clearly the AP reader's example thesis. Okay, what I'm gonna tell you is that this is the safe way Okay, so we can get into more complex things if needed. And we're going to do another introduction since this is just the introduction part, but this is a safe way of doing it. Okay, because you already know that your thesis, three things, that's what you're going to talk about in your paragraph. So it can be beneficial to do it this way. However, it's not complex, okay? So we know that this is a thesis and it's solid, okay? This is a good thesis. A solid thesis, in fact. But it lacks complexity. And if your essay, for the rest of your essay, is not as great, they're going to look back at this thesis and say, oh, it's subpar. So we're going to give her him 5 or 6. So just beware of this thesis. However, the AP readers do say that this is a thesis that they look for and they don't mind having in their writing. So just be aware of that, okay? But I'm going to say it lacks complexity, okay? And we're only showing you things that the AP readers say is okay. Okay, this is all, everything that you've seen so far is what the AP peoples, the people who write the books, the people who are test specialists, this is what they want from you. Okay, this is what I want from you. Okay, so let's continue. So we don't run out of time. So, like the water of the river. Okay, so we can start in a different way, or we can do two ways of doing it. This is another way I saw it. I liked it. Um, so we can say, see, all right. So little, okay, like the water, okay, of the river. So this is my introduction I'm writing. Like the motorist on the highway, and like the yellow train staking down trains streaking down the Santa Fe. Fix that. Tracks. Drama in the shape of exceptional happenings. Happenings. Okay. Had never stopped here. Had never stopped here. My bad. Um, this is the town of Hopeland, Kansas. So this then it introduces. This is the town of Hopeland, Kansas. Your setting. So once again, very important to have all of the main details in this introduction, because at least they know. So I wrote setting. No, my bad. We're supposed to write Kansas, but that is the setting. So just be aware of that. Using a rhetorical tone. Okay, so this is the one that's a bit more complex. I like it. Using a rhetorical tone. Let's fix that. No, rhetorical tone. Um, Specific structure and selection of detail. Caput introduces the reader, so we know that the author is Caput. Caput. sorry if I